Greetings, guitar players and curious people. My name is Tony Corman. I'm a jazz guitarist in Berkeley, California, and I'm here to talk about M3 guitar. M3 guitar is the tuning system which I thought I invented, but a quick internet search revealed that in fact it was developed by Ralph Patt in the 1930s. Ralph was a studio guitarist in New York, and he took a 7-string guitar and tuned it in major thirds. What this does is it gives you the same range as Spanish tuning, which is to say the low string is E, the high string is E. But in between we have one big augmented chord. We have E, G sharp, C, and then we're back at E, G sharp, C, and E. What are the advantages of M3 tuning? It's perfect symmetry. You have a chromatic scale in position without stretching, for example. And you have, as a side effect, half steps between every string pair, which for jazz is a lovely thing. No stretching. Because it's perfectly symmetrical, every fingering works on every string set. So here's a major triad in root position. Here it is on the next string set. The next, the next, the next. Of course it's going down in thirds, but the point is I didn't have to change my fingering at all. If I want an inversion, because the notes repeat every 4 strings, so here's an A, 2, 3, here's the A an octave below, I can take the A, the 5th of this D triad, drop it an octave, and I've inverted the chord. Now if I want the next inversion, I take this top note and put it to the bottom. And then if I invert again, I'm back in root position. So the inversions go straight across the string set, and they go in a very logical way, and they are identical from string set to string set. Likewise, every scale has one fingering. A nice side benefit for jazz is the whole tone scale is readily accessible. And the augmented triad is right there for you as well, and all the very, very hip scales that jazz players like to use that are based on the symmetry of the augmented scale. Another advantage, and perhaps the primary one for jazz players, is the fact that you have wonderful, rich, close voicings available. Jazz players like to exploit open strings. You've got an extra open string. That's a beautiful thing. And I'm going to demonstrate some of these chords at the end of this. What are the disadvantages of M3 tuning? It's probably not great for classical or folk music, both of which exploit the Spanish tuning. It's probably okay for the blues, but the blues exploits Spanish tuning in many ways as well. You end up with some pretty wide bars. You have to bar across 7 strings often. And often the chords are distributed in odd ways across the 7 strings, and that takes some getting used to. Another disadvantage is you do a lot of rolling and string skipping. By rolling, I mean this. By string skipping, I'm talking about the fact that the pick has to skip a string. It's harder to be precise. It's a great sound that jazz players exploited, but it's certainly the case that in M3 tuning, you're going to do more of it. Another disadvantage is a material one. You have to procure a custom string set. These days, that's actually not that hard to do, and there are resources on the web that will put together any string set you need. So it's a shame that you can't go to Guitar Center and buy one off the rack, but on the other hand, strings are not that expensive. Another disadvantage is a professional one, and that's twofold. One is the learning curve, because as you begin to switch back and forth between these things, you will be confused until you're not. However, this is actually a simpler tuning because of its symmetry, and in fact, there's much less to learn physically than there is in Spanish tuning. And of course, it's the case that it takes time away from practicing your conventional guitar, and it's also the case that in fact, it's unlikely that you're going to get a call to play M3 guitar. This is something you do because you want to do it, because you like the sound and the possibilities that it offers. Pretty much every professional guitarist who I've talked to about this, when I explain it to them, uniformly the response is, "Dear God, why? Why would you do that?" And the answer is because I love the way it sounds. 5-note chord, 11 on. 5-note chord. I hope you're intrigued by the possibilities of M3 guitar. And in terms of other resources, there's a website that I think Ralph Pat himself put up before he passed. And then at my own website, tonycorman.com, I have a page devoted to M3 guitar, and I wrote a small method book really for myself, but I put it up for download. And please download it, send me your feedback. It has a practice regimen, it has a couple of arrangements, it has a bunch of chord diagrams, and it fleshes out the ideas that I've laid out in this video in much more detail. So thanks for your kind attention, and happy discoveries with M3 guitar.